The most important thing you can do when naming your baby is find a baby name you love. And it's actually way more difficult than it sounds, but I'm here to help. I have a 6-step process that is easy to follow with tangible steps that you can do today to find your perfect baby name. Hi everybody, my name is Steph. I'm a baby name consultant, a mom of 3, a content creator, an author, and a lover of all things whimsical. And I am here to give you guys a step-by-step guide to picking the perfect name. Because if there's one thing I hear, it's way more difficult to actually choose a baby name when you have a baby on the way, okay? Very different when it's all in your head, when it's early stages, and when it's something that you don't actually have to commit to and give to a child for the rest of their lives. I promise you there are so many beautiful names out there, and there's so many beautiful different humans. You are going to find the perfect name that makes sense for your family. Let's get started. Step 1 is to find your baby naming style. Now, this is incredibly important because you want to narrow down. The whole field of baby names is huge, and there are so many different themes. And if you're like, wait a minute, I have no idea what themes there are and what themes I would like, let me tell you, I have a PDF that you guys can get. It's in my comments. I'll have it linked. I have a list of all these different types of baby names, and I have a couple examples of each so that you can see kind of, am I drawn to this? Am I drawn to dark and mythological or country cool? Am I drawn to nature names? Am I drawn to ethereal names? Am I drawn to surnames? The list is so extensive. There's just so many different options. And I think it's good to find that out about yourself before you make your big list of names for your child. You can go on Pinterest and look at Pinterest boards and different pins and look at name lists, or even look at nursery inspiration. Do you like bright and whimsical colors? Or do you like, moody, muted colors? Or do you like black and white together? Whatever it is, it might inform your naming style. Then my recommendation is you go to your friends, not literally to your friends. You look at your friends' kids' names. What do you like and what do you not like? Like, are you really drawn to your friend who did uncommon names? Or is there a friend who's like, those classic names, they just resonate with me. I think they are so beautiful. Whose name list do you admire among your friends who have kids, or your family members, your cousins? Find that information out. Use that to inform you. And when you get your list, the different themes, okay, I want you to narrow it down to 3 different themes that you like. You can't pick them all. I know, it's so tempting though. It's so tempting. But like, for example, I knew that uncommon was like my top thing. I wanted names outside of the top 1,000. I wanted something that nobody else had. But I also really love a nature name. But I was never going to use a nature name. Does that make sense? Like, you can admire them from afar. Sage, laurel, poppy. I'm obsessed with those names. But I am not actually ever going to choose them as an indoorsy girl. It was never going to happen. So I would not put nature-inspired names on my list. Does that make sense? You can put whatever resonates the most with you, but I want you at the end of step 1 to have 3 different name themes chosen. Step number 2 is the Namestorm. See what I did there? Not a brainstorm, but a Namestorm. This is where you write down every single name you love. You do not limit yourself. You do not say, that name is too weird. You don't say that name is too boring. If you love James and Charlotte, put them on the list. This is where you create this huge list of name possibilities. So if you are loving something and you can't stop thinking about it, it goes on the list. If you find something new and it just speaks to you and resonates with you, it goes on the list. This is the time to consider everything. Does that make sense? Because there's always time to edit later. So consider everything. I do want you to keep in mind those 3 themes that we talked about in step 1. Now, if there's a name that like goes in both categories, like it's a surname that's also vintage, that name might get a gold star or highlight or a circle, because we want to keep in mind those themes that we know we are really drawn to. Another thing to add at this step is that this will be a great time to have your partner also do their own Namestorm, because the next step is all about communicating with your partner. Step number 3, I already said it, is communicate with your partner. But if there was a tagline for this one, it would be meet in the middle. Because, oh boy, do I have a lot of experience with that. Now, I am a huge feminist, a big advocate of women's rights, but even I will agree that my husband and I both had to love our children's names. I just want you to know that even though we know that women and birthing people do all the work, carry the baby, grow the baby, push the baby out or get the baby taken out, whatever they go through the most, I still think all of the partners or the parents have to have a choice in that baby's name, okay? That's my speech on that. You can disagree, but that's what I feel. So how did my husband and I meet in the middle? Because he was a classic traditional type of name guy, and I was like whimsical words, like story, okay? How did we meet in the middle? Well, I had to come this way and he had to come this way. And the way we did it is that we still picked really uncommon names that satisfied my desire for an uncommon name. They're outside of the top 1,000. My kids aren't going to have another one of their name in their class, but they're still typically well known as names. And my husband got a lot of input. In fact, he's the one who suggested my second son's name and my daughter's nickname. So we just had to meet in the middle. You can do it, I promise. You might always be like, I would love that name. I will always have a special place in my heart for that name, whatever that name is. But you really do want to meet in the middle and make every parent as happy with the name as possible. And that also means that the dads who want to do the whole Charles III for their kid or whatever and have the exact same name passed down from generation and generation, if mom doesn't want to do that, she also gets a say in that. Tradition, I don't care. Both parents have to love the name. That's our number one priority, not following the tradition of ancestors who aren't here anymore, okay? So how do you meet in the middle with your partner? Well, a couple things. So like I said, you both go in away from where you were and kind of try to find a middle ground. You could have them go through the themes and pick 3 themes and see what themes overlap. You also can go through and veto. I do believe in the veto. So if there's a name you're like, I absolutely despise that name, you can go in and cross those off of their list. So you might want to switch lists and then have them circle the ones they like on your list and you circle the ones that you like on their list and see if you can put those 2 lists of names together. It's tricky. I will say this is probably the trickiest step because working with another person on a project is always a little bit difficult. But I promise you can do it. And I promise that you will be able to find a name that you both love. You just cannot give up. You have to continually work at it. And that starts with narrowing those lists down and putting them all into one list, okay? So that's your next step, is that you take your Namestorms and you make one cohesive list. Step number 4, workshop your favorites. This is actually one of my favorite steps, okay? So this is the really fun part where you get to start writing out the names. You know when you're in middle school and you have a crush and you write your name with their last name? This is kind of like that, but with your favorite baby names. And also adding in those middle names that you love or the ones you want to honor a family member with. So you write them out with your last name and then you say them out loud. Now that's a really important step. Do not skip this step. It will have dire consequences. I say that as someone who has a husband with a Scottish accent and he says our daughter's name differently than I do and it bugs the crap out of me. So you really don't want to skip this step. You need to say the names out loud, both of you. Both partners need to say those names out loud, okay? Additionally, you want to look at the nickname possibilities and do you like those? If you have a Benjamin and you can't stand the nickname of Ben or Benny or Benji, you don't want to choose that, right? Or Sebastian has so many cute nicknames, but if you're like, I don't like any of them, what if your kid ends up choosing one of those? Maybe stay away. Seb, Bash, Baz, lots of cute ones anyway. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, you want to look at the initials. Initials can spell bad words. I say this, but it really doesn't bother me too much. I don't think we often look at our initials spelled out. I don't think you should get rid of a name just because of the initials, but if you're trying to decide between 2, it's a good thing to know, okay, well, this name gives us a really inappropriate, initials of ass or whatever. You might possibly want to make note of that, okay? So there's a lot of things to look at. Let's go over them again, right? Write them out, see how they look on paper. Say them out loud, see how they sound together, how's the flow, look at the nickname potential, and look at the initials, okay? All of those things are workshopping. All of those things are important. Step number 5, broaden your search. I'm throwing you a wild card here because just when you thought it was time to commit and that you're really getting narrowed down and your list is really getting to the point where you might actually choose the name, I'm going to encourage you to go add something new to it. Broaden your horizons again, go online and search, ask around, listen to your favorite movies or TV shows or books for character names that you're interested in. But this is the time where we just, turn over every rock, if you will, and keep looking because you have no idea what else is out there. And I don't want you to miss anything. And this is also where you'd hire a name consultant if you were to do that. You don't have to. But that's the type of time where you're like, okay, here's what I love, but I want to see what they would suggest. Is there anything I'm missing? What am I missing? You might not be missing anything. You might pick a name that was already on your original list, and that's fantastic. But I think it feels better when you know that you have considered all the possibilities, and it helps avoid that dreaded thing we know as baby name regret. Unfortunately, it's been happening a lot more, I feel like, or people are probably just talking about it more. We put a lot of importance on choosing our baby's name. And then if it doesn't feel right, it feels like a personal attack. It feels really upsetting to people. And I don't want you to have to go through that. So you really, really want to include all of the options and make sure that you take a breath before you move to step 6, because step 6 is where we kind of like get down to our last 3 options. So at this point, this is your last moment to really look. Even if it's one that you vetoed a while ago and you want to say, honey, I want to put this name back on the list. Can we please talk about it again? Whether it gets chosen or not, it's important to do that step, okay? Number 5 is really important, so don't skip broadening your search. Step number 6, pick your top 3 choices. I always tell clients, especially ones that have trouble making a decision and are just feeling so overwhelmed, I say, make a short list and take that to your hospital or your place of birth, and then choose from that short list, okay? So the short list could be 4 or 5 names if you really can't decide, or it could just be 2. We love this and we love this, and we need to meet the baby first and see who they look like. I specifically did this for my 3rd because we were team green and I didn't know if I was having a boy or a girl, so I had to have 2 short lists, and that was really tricky. And for my boys, I do believe we knew the name going in. So this isn't for everyone, but I do think even if you're like, we are 100% on this, you can put 2 extras in there. You can come with a short list, even if you are leaning 99% towards one name. It makes you feel secure that you have a backup plan. If you see the baby and you're like, oh my gosh, you do not look like Silas. You just don't. You don't look like a Silas. I need another name. Maybe you'll have one right in that list behind it. And I also want to point out that you do not need a monogrammed sweater or blanket or, hat for the hospital. You can always do those later. So don't choose a name just for that. If you're really set and this doesn't pertain to you, then go ahead, write the name on the wall, buy all the things. But there's a lot of people that feel the pressure to do those things. There's always time. You do not need to make that decision because it's really important to meet your child and see who they are. I think that can also really help you connect to a name because you have the child in front of you and you're like, oh my gosh, you are this name, right? That's a beautiful thing. So don't pressure yourself to go in with the name. Just make sure you have a short list that you really, truly love. All right, that is the name guide to finding your perfect baby name by Names with Steph. I hope you enjoyed my 6 steps, and I would love to hear in the comments which step makes the most sense to you, which one resonated with you, or if there's a step you would add, that's something that I missed that you're like, oh, I would definitely consider this. I know some people like to get the opinions of family members. That is a thing that I do not suggest, but that's okay. This is kind of a preference thing, but I have found there is no amount of opinions that is going to sway me from my names, and I'm also not interested in hearing yours. So I'm really close with my family, and I've mentioned this before, but I loved sharing so much of my pregnancy with them, but I did not share with my closest family and friends my baby names. I just never wanted to do that. And I think it really helped us because once a baby is here, there is very few grandparents or others that will actually say anything bad about a baby with the name when they're actually here. So I do recommend waiting as long as possible if you can. It's also a really fun announcement, especially if you've done a gender reveal and you've said, oh, we're having a boy or we're having a girl. It's fun to wait on the name. So that is my recommendation. I know some people like to hear like family and friends' opinions, and that's fine. But if it's going to affect you and it's going to make you doubt your top choices, I just don't recommend it. Here's a bonus tip for you guys. If you have really pushy, nosy family members and they want to hear a name, you pick a name you've already eliminated from your top list, okay? So one that you can easily talk about, that you love, that you have a story behind, whatever, so that it gives them something and they're excited and you're like, we're not 100% sure, but we're probably going with this. You say, we finally settled on a name and we're going with Sabrina, okay? This is the name that we've chosen and we love it. Why do I keep choosing S names? As a Stephanie, I don't know. Silas, Sabrina. So you tell them, we've picked it, we're probably sure, but we're not 100%. Then you can talk about it, you love it. But after the baby's here, you announce and it's like, oh, actually her name is Ramona. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And secretly, you knew all along it was going to be Ramona. You just didn't want anyone else's opinion. So you threw them a bone of Sabrina. That is my tip. It's okay to do those little fibs. It was already on your list. It's a name you loved anyway. But if you don't want to hear what they actually think of your kid's name, you just give them a different name. They don't need to know. They don't need to know. Don't show them this video. If you found this video helpful, would you please like it and follow along for more baby name content? Because I would love to have you join the Names with Steph community. It's really fun and supportive over here. And I will see you guys in the next one. Happy naming.